Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us today. And happy Veterans Day to everyone who's a veteran or who was a veteran. My name is Brenda Moynihan, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Outreach here at the Kensington Assisted Living Residence. Tonight's presentation is How to Celebrate the Holidays During COVID, Part 1, Thanksgiving, and very apropos, considering the times, and Thanksgiving is just 2 weeks away. Please remember, Part 2 of this presentation, December celebrations, will be held on December 2nd at 6:30 p.m. So please RSVP today if you haven't done so on the Kensington's website, www.thekensingtonwhiteplains.com. And before I introduce our speakers, I'd like to briefly give you some information about the Kensington. The Kensington is an enhanced assisted living located in White Plains, New York. We are committed to providing outstanding care every day with a focus on care and a full spectrum of clinical support, including care for those with Alzheimer's and additional dementias. We encourage independence and confidence and focus on making each individual feel important. Our promise is to love and care for your family as we do our own. And now let me bring up our speakers. I'd like to introduce our speakers, Barbara Newman-Mannix and Adrienne Geiger. Barbara Newman-Mannix is the founder and CEO of A Dignified Life. A Dignified Life develops and navigates care plans with elders and family members. They assess safety, living conditions, cultural influences, socioeconomic, and family dynamics to identify a comprehensive care plan that addresses specific needs. They also specialize in end-of-life and long-distance caregiving with an emphasis on executive and C-suite services, chronic illness, and dementia care. Barbara is certified as a caregiver coach and family life educator. Adrienne Geiger. Adrienne is the Director of Family Advocacy at A Dignified Life. Adrienne has 15 plus years experience with corporate management, research and planning in the merchandising and retail arena. Today with A Dignified Life, she supports her clients, helping them navigate the journey of aging, stressing safety, quality of life, and of course, dignity. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So ladies, I am going to have you take it from here.
Well, thank you, Brenda. We both want to thank you and the Kensington. And
yes, so I thank you, Adrienne. Right. We wanted to thank everyone for attending tonight. This is a specifically unique, we keep on hearing the word unprecedented time in our lives. We all have challenges in terms of how we've lived our lives up until now. And so we thank you for being here. But most importantly, we'd like to thank Brenda and the Kensington for inviting us to speak. So Adrienne's going to speak to us about some traditions right now, and then I'll pick up from there.
Thanks, Barbara. Well, as Barbara said, we know that this Thanksgiving will be different than any of our Thanksgivings and traditional celebrations before. And no matter how or where you celebrate, communication with your loved ones is not only most important this time of the year, it's important throughout the year. And Thanksgiving being different doesn't mean it has to be depressing. It's just going to be different. We need to invent new traditions. We need to weave together the best part of our memories and celebrations and tweak them for these unusual times. We need to keep safety in the forefront. And then we know everything else is going to fall into place. And then speaking of safety, there are many CDC guidelines which seem to change every 5 minutes, but Barbara is going to elaborate on that, and then I'm going to come back with the juicy part, the meal.
the meal and some fun and games.
Right.
So our greatest overreaching concept is this year and throughout this pandemic, we can't wing things at this point. We really have to be specific on how we nail things down. So we have to remain consistent in constantly monitoring our community levels of infection. Not all communities are created equal, and the levels of infection are changing every day. The COVID-19 risk website, COVID-19 -biosci website, actually has an extraordinary map where you can drill down and find the county that you live in. You can find Westchester County, Fairfield County, Rockland, any county in the United States, and you can adjust the population of the get-together that you're thinking about having. And of course, we know that under 10 people, if you're even considering a gathering, is most preferred and most suggested. And you can adjust the number of people that are attending, and you can see what percentage of that specific circumstance would promote the possibility of having one positive person in the group. So right now I live in Orange County. And so if there are 10 people or less, it's 6%, which is, not that low. If it goes up to 25 people, it becomes 31%. So 31% of people in Orange County who are in a group of 25 or more have a possibility of having one person be positive in the group. So it's really important that we look and learn from past experiences and also past holidays. We've all lived through the Jewish holidays. Canada has already had their Thanksgiving. Numbers have gone up. Every time we see any sort of gathering, a drill down sports gathering, any sort of public gatherings, be it what we've just gone through in this country, we're seeing increases in numbers. So we should not just consider whether we're going to gather, but if we are going to gather, the location. So again, we hear every day outside is better, but who knows how the weather's going to be in 2 weeks. We've lived through a beautiful couple of weeks, and it's going to be in the 60s through next week, but we really don't know past the 19th what the weather is going to be like. So not only consider the location of the gathering, but the duration of the gathering. So instead of being in your loved one's home or in their yard for the way that we always think of Thanksgiving, which is, just eating for hours and hours and then watching a movie and everybody falling asleep and having to get up and go home over a 5 or 6 hour duration, maybe it's a 1 or 2 hour duration, which also determines whether you'll even take the drive of where you're going. Again, we talked about consider the number of people that will be at the gathering. And most importantly as well, discussing the protocol of the gathering prior. Paper towels will be used. If you're not using, first of all, we always suggest using disposable dishes, napkins, tablecloths. But if you're not, wash them immediately. Chair coverings, cushions, blankets, whatever it is that touches anyone else that you're going to be with should be washed immediately after you get together. This is not a normal occurrence, as we know. And whatever uniqueness and positive vibe that we can promote, and certainly with our seniors, because they're, the isolation is a terrible thing. Adrian's going to give you some ideas on how to bridge that isolation. Technology, of course, is something that we have all embraced, and here we are right now embracing it. But use your imagination, have a positive attitude, and things can still be fun, and new traditions and new customs can still be promoted even at a time like this. So Adrian, please.
Thank you. I'm just adding to the safety part, and that is if you are bringing a loved one to your home, make certain that there's a safe area for them to enjoy the company and laughter. Maybe they don't have to be in the crowd, even if the crowd is 5 or 6 or 10 people. And is someone going to be in charge of being the care partner? Do you have the supplies you need for that loved one? Any medication? Anything that might be necessary for the visit? As Barbara said, just prepare in advance. Try and keep the company to small groups, and remember, virtual hugs must be sent at a safe distance. That's very important. If you are preparing the meal, do it in advance. Try to make trips to the store over several days when it's not so busy. Keep in mind there should be only one server. Don't have a buffet, and use that pretty plastic dinnerware. It avoids crowds at cleanup. And what about purchasing just mini meals? What about your favorite parts of the meal? Maybe it's not the turkey. Maybe it's the soup, the stuffing, and dessert. That's my kind of a meal. Drop that off. Have just little tiny courses. It keeps it simple and it keeps the visits shorter. And I always say, who said the menus always have to be the same? I'm hoping it's not snowing. So how about a drive-up tailgate party? That's just your favorite foods. You can have a few more people at a safe distance, and then the immediate family and your loved one could be on the porch just waving or come up one at a time. And then that part of the meal can be taken into the home, and then you get to enjoy the game, and there's really very little cleanup. And I think it's really important to know that if you can't be with your loved one, there's other ways to do things, and that's scheduling a call, FaceTime, Zoom. These virtual visits give you something to look forward to. And please, it doesn't just have to be on Thanksgiving. Get ready to share your thoughts, your interests, your fondest memories. Have notes. Have your family send notes to each other. These become treasures. These are real treasures. I do want to present a quick case study of a Thanksgiving that we've done in the past, and it's with someone, a very close client that I've enjoyed being with for many years, that we always had our tradition, because her family is not close by, was to have a special Thanksgiving the night before, so that in the assisted living, that special meal is usually on Thanksgiving. So she and her lovely caregiver and I would always go out. Well, this year, we're not going to do it. So we're changing it up, and we have already started to search new menus, new restaurants, because many places will do takeout and we'll be ready, and I'm going to pick it up, deliver it. There'll be a centerpiece, a cloth tablecloth, and cloth napkins. There'll be disposable dinnerware, and I'll be on FaceTime to join that celebration. We're already laughing that we won't be rushed. We don't have to worry about how to get in and out of our car. We don't have to worry about the weather, and we're not tipping anybody. So that was the fun part of it. And Barbara's really the expert about games and thoughts and different things to use and do. So I'm going to let her give her thoughts on that, and I'll, of course, chime in. But it's all about gratitude. It's all about being together near or far.
And sharing, right. So I too am going to tell a story, and preface it by saying that whenever we tune into these programs, you know, you hear similar information time after time. We're asking if you're sending, so we're asking to use true creativity. If you're sending pictures of a new baby or an old baby, or when you were a baby, or any baby, what was the circumstance that that picture was taken? Make a collage. You have time. We're 2 weeks from Turkey Day. Make a collage. Take a recipe, a family recipe. We have family recipes. We laugh about this butternut squash souffle every single year. It never turns out, but somebody always makes it, and it's sort of a butternut squash thing. And I mean, I have pictures. We really started to take pictures year after year. Did we ever succeed on this butternut squash? But nonetheless, there are generations that have not had this or have not been involved in making it. So differentiate. how you're sending a picture, differentiate how you're sharing a recipe or a family tradition. But the story that I wanted to tell was that, and this is not about a holiday, because every day, as Adrienne says, is a holiday. It's a party. So a number of years ago, I was visiting a nursing home in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, visiting a client. And my father was born in Bensonhurst. He lives in Florida now. And I knew what block he was born on. And I went there and I dialed him up on FaceTime. And we went down memory lane of where he, you know, his where he played stoop ball, because they do that in Brooklyn, and where he played ringalivio, and all of these words that probably our kids don't even know exist, and stickball, and what garage roof they used to hang out on. And you get the idea that he was like, walk down here, is that fence still there? You know, I broke my arm on that corner. And we shared that hour. I thought it was going to be a 5 or 10 minute phone call. It turned out to be an hour. I actually had to cut it short because I had to go back to work. When I spoke to somebody else about this, they were born in England, and they've already reached out to a favorite uncle who still lives in the town that they were born in, because, you know, in England you grow a turkey. There is no Thanksgiving, but being that they were expats from America, of course, they always had Thanksgiving, and they grew their turkey and they walked to the butcher. And so she's going to walk literally that path with her uncle on Thursday of that, you know, Thanksgiving, so that she actually lives and they live that moment together. He's 87 years old. And who knows how many more Thanksgivings they'll have, but they will be together. So just uplifting and keeping things, you know, as memorable as possible in a different venue. I just wanted to say quickly that for those of us who are going to travel or attempt to travel, beware that you know, it's mandated, of course, that we wear a mask in every public venue, mask transportation, avoid close contact, social distancing, check with your airline if they're blocking third seats, stay in your social bubble so that you're all sitting together or breaking up so that you're not sitting with strangers. Wash your hands as often as possible. Use hand sanitizer, of course, carry hand sanitizer with you. And then the standard that we've all been living with, avoid contact. If anyone has symptoms, you must cancel your trip. It's absolutely mandatory. And of course, no touching your face or your eyes. So, Adrienne, you're going to pick it up now on...
I was also thinking, I was just reading another suggestion, and you prompted me to think of something. Instead of those pretty little name tags at every place setting, a little mini sanitizer would be quite lovely that says Aunt Martha and Barbara and Joe. I mean, there you go. Everybody should have an extra mask or two with them and a little pack of wipes just for the table. It's great. But I'm going back to the fun stuff because, you know, that's what I'm all about. It's when Barbara was saying share photos, put it together, write down what those photos were, when they were. It starts a conversation. It's a memory. And if your loved one is going to be alone before the holiday, why don't you send over a mini craft kit, something that you would have and she would have or he would have, and do it together. Coloring books are fun, and it's almost like a meditation. It's great. Puzzles. And then there's that, what I love is the music playlist. And with all the wonderful devices that are around, you can just go, I'm afraid to say it out loud because I'll have music playing in a minute, but it's play Barry Manilow, play Frank Sinatra, hey Alexa. We had a client who was elderly and had dementia, and I thought we should play Frank Sinatra, and she wanted to hear Tina Turner. So don't judge for the seniors. Let them tell you what they want. There's also family trivia. Let's guess What was the best meal? Who had the funniest moment? Who, Barbara's souffle that turned into a frittata? What's the best vacation? Things like that. And then we love, and I learned this from someone else, make a gratitude board or put it in a fishbowl where everybody just, almost like a fortune cookie, just writes, I'm grateful for this. Well, we'll be grateful that 2020 is over, but we're grateful that here or far we're with each other, no matter how we do it. And, what I say is there's no reason that celebrations are only on the holidays. You need to spread out happiness throughout the year and make new memories every day. Then we have something to talk about tomorrow. So I just want to thank everyone.
Also, there are silver linings in every day, even on these days. And so another story that comes to mind is a client whose children were long distance caregivers, and she loved Thanksgiving. And so her kids said, we'll order mom's Thanksgiving from, the nicest place, the nicest deli that we can find. And as a additional suggestion to what Adrienne was talking about, we were thinking about pulling out China and what we were doing. And she said, oh, you know what? It's too much trouble. I'm not going to do it. So we had a project at my home. My kids were young, and we cooked her a turkey breast and stuffing and all of the fixings, and we put them on relative size platters, and we put them in the car. We packed them up, and we drove them down. And it was like leaving the best little present on someone's doorstep and calling and saying, dinner has arrived. So you can do that. You may not be able to actually be with your loved one, but if you can deliver a meal and present it with the same dignity and speciality that you would sitting at a table with candles lit and so forth, and then call your loved one and say, what did you think of this? And I made this with this, and I couldn't make a pie small enough, so I made you a big pie. What do you think of apple? Blah, blah, blah. And elicit the same conversations in that perspective as you would if the person was sitting right next to you.
Absolutely.
We feel challenged, but I think we should feel joy, because here we are. I mean, we're talking about celebrating, and we're not talking about enduring. And so we've lived some sad times as far as this pandemic is concerned, but we seem to be now learning new ways, adapting new ways. And some of them, quite honestly, like being with you today, are here to stay. Now we can access you and have conversations with you and your families in a way that wasn't accessible before. So there are good things that are coming out of this, and we would just like to embrace, all of those good times. I don't know if there are any questions, or I can't really see. Brenda can.
So I'm back, and thank you, ladies. Wonderful ideas. I wrote these things down. Barbara, you had said uniqueness and positive vibe, and I like that because it's still Thanksgiving, and I think it's important that we still want to celebrate in a safe way, right? Even during the pandemic, you still want to celebrate. And Barbara, you had mentioned a tailgate party. I love that idea.
Me, Brenda.
Oh, sorry. It was Adrienne. I really love that idea, and I think our listeners, if you think about what you can do, again, we're not sure about the weather in 2 weeks, right? But you can make that meal, and instead of congregating all together in a house, you can have that tailgate party. Love, love, love that idea. Wonderful idea.
And there are so many family traditions around tailgate parties. I mean, my family goes to a West Point football game every year, and we always know what each other is bringing because that's that food for that occasion. So that's a wonderful idea.
But nobody's bringing that pancake. The pancake.
You have to go to Barbara for that.
Yeah. So So folks, let's open it up. If you have any questions for Adrian and Barbara, remember they are the specialists when it comes to seniors, especially isolated seniors. Perhaps maybe you can't get to mom or dad this year. They've got the wonderful ideas.
I'm just looking at this, Brenda, and we're all alone right now, but we're all together. Isn't it amazing?
Right.
And most seniors have access to a laptop or a phone, or a community might have it, and you're not alone now. You're not alone.
Right. You know what? While we're waiting, if the viewers are typing their questions, why don't the two of you talk a little bit about what you can do? Let's say someone is thinking about hiring the two of you. You know, and this is a great way to start. I can't get to mom or dad. Mom is at home. Mom is isolated. I'd really like her to have the Thanksgiving traditions. I can tell you, you know, places that we used to get stuff from. What are some ideas that you guys can do to go in there?
Barbara, you want to take it?
I'm not sure. So what are some ideas in order to enact that and make
Right,
it happen?
right. In other words, if somebody wanted to hire the two of you, starting with Thanksgiving.
Well, you reach out to us. Just, you know, your website is going to be there. But I'm sorry, Barbara, but
Please, go ahead.
It's my enthusiasm.
Please, please.
And let's talk about it. Let's talk about where they are, what we can do, what can we. It's hard. We've tried to figure out how to be in 3 or 4 places at once. We haven't quite figured it out, but we're not alone. It's not just Barbara and Adrian. But we can do things, and we can help you do things, and we can make it happen. And if it's pre-Thanksgiving, and I always used to like the Friday after, the leftover party is always so much better than Thanksgiving. There's no pressure. So
Wow.
I say, one day holiday, why can't it last for 3 or 4 days? I mean, that's the way to do it. There's no end to what we could do given the time, the space, and understand where your loved one is and what they like and what is safe. And we take it from there.
And I just have to say, one of our listeners has said, also not forgetting to tell our loved ones what we are grateful for or appreciate about them. Very important.
Exactly.
Very important. I mean, you're doing the things to keep them so they're not isolated. They feel like they're part of the celebration, but also telling them how much you love them and appreciate them.
Right.
Not just on Thanksgiving. You know, when I was a little kid, 120 some odd years ago, there was Captain Kangaroo.
Oh, yes.
And I remember he signed off saying every day is Mother's Day. And I think that's great. I like to think of something like that.
Right, right.
Well, the other thing, and this will carry over into our next presentation in December, is food is love. And I mean, in my house, food is love. I don't know many people that don't think that. So we live to eat. Some people eat to live. But when there's something that you know is special, getting back to what we can do for a client, if you know that, you know, the pie that they like comes from whatever, you know, the place on Garth Road that only opens on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I can't remember the name of it right now.
No, the place.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll go there. We'll go there. We'll get that pie. Whatever extension of you, as Adrian always says, we are your eyes and your heart. So whatever extension of you that you feel is most important, we can't be you, but we can bring you to your loved one. And quite honestly, we do that every day with a client, regardless of whether it's a holiday or whatever the circumstances that we're you know, dealing with them and trying to facilitate for them, is that we really do strive to treat your family like our family, or have the privilege of treating your family like our family. So it starts with a conversation, as Adrian says. We're very specific. We are not one size fits all. So if there's something at all that we can promote that has any sort of earmarking of familiarity to your loved one, we're in and we'll make it happen.
You know, I think it's important for the listeners to know that you are the extension of them.
Right.
So, you know, someone may be watching right now who, like you were talking about, Adrienne, they can't get to their loved one. And maybe this is the holiday that they want to do all those things for them. They can't get to them. You are the two who can fill in and be that extension. And through all the different things that you talked about, including maybe setting up that Zoom call and setting up the meal, right? Having that Zoom call so that the son or the daughter can see mom and they can still celebrate together, even though they're not physically there, they can still celebrate together.
I think a lot of us are going to be doing that. It's not by age. I think it's the pandemic, and we're figuring out new ways to celebrate together apart, you know.
Right.
And also thinking about if a senior just can't travel anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, everybody has extended family. People have traditions. You know, you spend Thanksgiving with one loved one, in one family. You spend Christmas with another loved one and another family. You know, you can't cut yourselves in half, and so you have that tradition. But there are times when people can't travel anymore. Health is involved, or whatever may be the deterrent. And so in inventing and creating opportunities that can carry over and create a continuity, this is your new form of communication. And that promotes new adventure, new opportunities, you know, whether, I mean, we had a Zoom birthday party at the beginning of the pandemic, and every family member prepared a Broadway tune. I mean, the amount of ingenuity and the amount of creativity and detail that we went into. I mean, you know, I sang Corner of the Sky from Pippin. I put on the John Rubinstein wig. I was, you know, put on a shirt that looked like the one that he was, you know, wore in the play. And I mean, people were doing hand puppets. It was just Chicago, you know, when it was more than one in the family with the chorus, not Chicago, chorus line.
Mm-hmm.
So really have fun with this, because if you're having fun, the person that you're entertaining is going to be having fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, ladies, I'm having trouble bringing up the slide that has your contact information. So why don't you tell everybody how to contact you?
Barbara?
Well, the easiest way is through our website, adignifiedlife.com, and there's a contact us page. So all you have to do is remember adignifiedlife.com and go to our contact page, and we will be delighted to answer any questions, provide any resources, and be available for whatever you might need.
Great. So I want to thank you both for joining us today, and thank you all out there in the audience. And if you'd like to contact the Kensington, please feel free to call us at 914-390-0080, or go to our website at www.thekensingtonwhiteplains.com. And remember, December 2nd, 6:30 p.m. will be the part 2 December celebrations. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy, everyone.